I'm rebuilding cars until I get a supercar, and this is the first car. Today we're going to be fixing the damage that wrote this car off with a $20 part. Unfortunately for me, the cause of the water leak has also ruined some of the electronics in the car. The navigation, phone and audio are all not working. Plus, when you're looking at the boot, there is a few different signs of corrosion in here. Today the goal is to get all of the electronic problems with this car fixed and scan it to see how well we did. Only problem is, I'm not a mechanic and I've got no idea what I'm doing. Just here, I've got some parts to get things sorted. But before we dive into the electronics, this car arrived with a cracked throttle body just here. As you can see, it moves. The engine cover also is not on this car, so I think it's from somebody taking it off and assuming that when you unbolt the throttle body, these two pieces are separate. They're not, they're glued together. Good thing I've got a new one just here. The annoying thing about this is a bit of a messy job because there's a lot of carbon buildup inside the throttle body. Let's just get it done quick. And it was at this point I immediately noticed something was wrong. I was just thinking, what are the chances we're gonna stuff up on the very first thing? And what do you know, I have to leave this throttle body in because this one is slightly different. Essentially, the new one that I bought has two different pipes for the EGR, which is to do with emissions. On the one installed on the car, you can see there's no pipe on the right hand side, it's just blocked off. So I bought the wrong one, I'm gonna have to get another one, but I also think I figured out why this one cracked. My idea here is this bolt here secures the throttle body, and as you can see, it pulls right out. It's completely stripped. Then because the throttle body hasn't been held down properly, that's given it a bit of movement, and with all the pressure that builds up in here from the intake, the air coming through the intake, that has let go. That's just a theory, I'm gonna leave that on for now. Moving on, in the last episode, this is the driver's side seat belt, and as you can see by that metal wire hanging out, this pretension has been ruined by the mechanic trying to take it off, not realizing the bolt to take it off the seat was just here. So in here, I've got a new one. And after removing the driver's seat belt from inside the car, we can compare what it's meant to look like from what this one looks like. I've got them both out here. This is the new one and this is the one that was in the car. Because the seat belt sits right on the floor on the B pillar, which is exactly where the water came in, you can see this one's all corroded. On the new one, all good. This is like that piece, you know, that you click to move up and down to height adjust your seatbelt. I have it on this one, but I don't know how to get it off this trim piece here on the back. I struggled with it for a little bit, but in the end I realized all you have to do is bend out the cream piece a little bit and then the black piece just pops straight out. Then you can slide a new one in and push it down. Also, take a look at the pretensioner on the new seatbelt. As you can see, the seatbelt isn't wound around that black piece at all, and that silver line is coiled up perfectly. On the other hand, this is the broken one, coil's unwound, and the seatbelt is actually twisted around that black piece, which means it's unusable. If you're enjoying watching me rebuild cars until I get a supercar, a like and subscribe will go a very, very long way. Any YouTube revenue also counts. Done. Now we're gonna start getting into the electronics, and the first thing, we're gonna plug this in. I didn't buy this, this was floating around loosely in the car, but if you'll remember, when we turned this car on for the first time, there was an E-diff warning, and after searching the part number on this up, it looks like this is the diff module. Now when I got the car, everything back here was in the wrong place. This fuse box is still not in properly because I don't have the bolt, but these three wires were left undone, and that made me think this diff module must plug in there, but there's 4 plugs. But after some searching, it does look like we might be in a bit of luck. In the photos that I found, there's only 3 plugs that plug into this thing. So we're gonna plug that back in and then tackle the navigation audio issue that we've got and see if we can fault find that. Pink plug, skip, yellow plug, black plug. With that solid logic, I pressed on, plugging in the diff module and tucked it up into the rear quarter panel where it goes. It's really hard to see back there. And honestly, it was pretty lucky that I managed to find the bolts from the complete cluster of bolts that the car came with. Now that we've got the diff module plugged in, it's time to talk about this, the amplifier. Like I mentioned, the navigation and the sound isn't working in this car. Now, we have the Meridian sound system in this, which is the highest level that you can get. And this amplifier sits just under the passenger seat with 5 connectors plugged into it. This one in particular is a fiber optic cable. A fiber optic cable is a special type of cable made out of some sort of plastic that transfers information using light through said cable. So as soon as I bought this car, I had a suspicion that this amplifier was gonna be dead. When the range drains play up, this is almost guaranteed to be broken. Now, what I didn't know was the audio system and the navigation system all run on the same system using fiber optics. Essentially, it's a bunch of different modules connected together like this. These lines represent fiber optic cables. Each of these represents a different module. So we've got the gauge cluster, the CD player, the amplifier, the navigation, and then back to the gauge cluster. As you can see, they're all linked. So starting at the gauge cluster, this will give off and shine through a red light out of this fiber optic cable. When it gets to the CD player, it passes through here and then gets passed on to the amp. If at any point in the system, one of the fiber optic lines goes out, that would cause the circuit to break, meaning the light wouldn't pass to the next few modules, killing the whole system, navigation, phone, and sound. And the same thing would happen if a module died. The light wouldn't be passed through to the next one, breaking the circuit. Together, this loop is called the most bus. Meaning this amp, which does have a bit of corrosion on it, is toast. So I went out and bought this $1,300 amp. Crazy amount of money for an amplifier, but because it's a Meridian sound system, it's the most expensive one, unfortunately. Thing is, I didn't learn about the most system until after I purchased this. So I plugged in the old one while this one was getting delivered and checked the light at the navigation and it was coming through, meaning it might actually work. So to test if I've made a $1,300 mistake, we are going to put the new one in and see if that fixes the problem. But if it doesn't, well, we're gonna have to test that most loop and see where the break is and what potential module or cable isn't working. I'm putting this amplifier in, wondering whether or not I've made the right decision. If I've made the right decision, hopefully this fixes the phone, navigation, and the audio not working. But if I'm wrong, this amplifier was a waste of $1,300. When I turn the ignition on, you can see the light flashing through from the fiber optics cable. When I tried the supposed dead amp and then looked to the next module in the system, the light was coming out. And that's what makes me think the original amplifier might actually be working, and this isn't the problem. With everything now plugged in, I had to stop putting it off. Let's turn the ignition on and see if this has fixed anything. Fingers crossed. Oh! Yeah! Just like that, the phone, navigation, and audio all started working. This module was $5,000 brand new. Even though I paid $1,300 for a used one, not bad. That's completely fixed it. Oh, I was so worried that was gonna be $1,300 just completely down the drain, but that has just made my day. Oh, that was such a big purchase and I was so worried about that. Oh God. Now because that's worked so well, even though we still have a corroded junction box in the back, I think before we tackle that and the big job of doing the range drains, I think we should scan the car now and see if that's gotten rid of the important fault codes. Now we're still going to get airbag faults because both of the seats aren't plugged in, but when we turn the engine on, we want to make sure we're not getting that diff module fault. Since we plugged the module back in, we just got to hope it works. No EDIF fault on the dash, that is huge. Let's give it a scan now. We're gonna get out the scan tool that I bought specifically for this build and does count towards build cost. As you saw, the engine took a little bit to turn over, but I'm hoping that's because I haven't had the battery on charge and I keep turning the ignition on. After giving the car a scan, we're left with a whole heap of fault codes, but a lot of these can be caused by low battery voltage. I'm just gonna quick erase everything since we've had the battery off and then do it again. After scanning it again, we've got 4 different modules that have fault codes, not including the restraint control module because of the seat belts. Parking brake control module. The parking brake works, so I don't know what this is. HS CAN bus communication. That could be because of that junction box, but it is working, I know that. gateway control module, quintessent relay box. After looking this one up, I came across this video with the exact same fault code relating to this relay box or whatever it is. Funny thing is, Land Rover have a technical service bulletin that says for their Land Rover techs, if this fault code is identified, do nothing, cause under investigation. So even Land Rover don't know what to do with this, and I'm assuming it doesn't cause a problem. Let's move on from that one. The next one seems to be some sort of calibration problem for the imaging process module. I'm sure we can do that with the Autel. And the last one, which is for the powertrain control module, that means the engine. But again, they're just related to the seatbelts and airbags. Good news for us. The only thing is we could put everything back together once we've got the new throttle body and then take it for a drive, and there's some issues with the powertrains. That startup was a bit average, but all in all, right now so far, that's all really good news. Now let's tackle the relay box. After taking the carpet out of the boot and a few little bits and pieces that were in the way out, we've got access to it. I also found this secondary relay that looks fine, so we're not going to touch that, but the main one is all corroded. Let's get it off and clean it all up. And after undoing everything, you can see just how corroded this thing actually is. Some of the white there is a coating to stop moisture from getting in, but they're definitely corroded. And these are what the bolts look like as well. If there's any bad connection, that can essentially mean the whole car is going to have electrical problem. Let's get them all cleaned up. I'll try and clean up the bolts as best I can as well. So I got to work. What I did was use a bit of steel wool, electrical contact cleaner, and for the bolts, I just sprayed them with a bunch of WD-40 and used some steel wool on them too. It took a little while to get it done, and I'm not too pleased with how it's come out, but we can always go back over this later if we're having problems. It doesn't look perfect, but it does look a lot better. I couldn't come up with a great way to clean this thing, so if you've got any ideas, please let me know. For now, let's chuck it back in the car. With it back in the car, it is apparent how much better this looks. I also found this ground cable that was very corroded, so I took that off and gave it a bit of a clean as well, and it's looking much better. Now it's time to get on to fixing the rain drains. It's getting hot though, I'm sweating. But if we can do this now, then maybe next week we can start putting the front of the interior back in. Don't know. This is one of those things that I'd just been putting off. After unscrewing the handles and making a little bit of room in the headlining, I started taking the top trim pieces off of the roof to expose the rain drains. You can already see how rusty they are from the top, and if the other side hasn't gone, they will go soon. So we're going to be doing both. Now what we're going to do is drill it out, as you've seen. I'm going to replace it with this. Now the way this works is this part goes on the top side, and this part goes on the bottom side, and essentially it threads together. So what we've got to do is we've got to drill out a hole. Now if you don't know, the reason why this car was written off is because of these rain drains. These pipes rust, snap off, water enters the car, and then rides the car off, just like the one you just seen. So we've got to drill out what's left of the old one and put in a new one. I measured the diameter of the new one to see how big we needed the hole, and I've just realized I need to put the sunroof back. Oh, it doesn't give enough room. That's really frustrating. See, the issue is the angle of this is actually pointing towards the glass there. I thought if I push this back, it would go further back, but no, which means we have to drill it from the inside. And on the inside, there's barely any room to do it. Ugh. But there's really no point moaning about it. And if it looks to you like I'm just plodding along, knowing exactly what I'm doing, I really don't. I look up all these things, I learn myself. Mainly, I'm just not afraid to give things a shot, and apparently take some gambles. That looks better. Now with the top piece sitting flush, we can go ahead, clean the area out really well with some isopropyl alcohol, then give the inside a little bit of a sand because we're going to be using a JB Weld to help bond this and seal any gaps so there's no water that can get through anymore. I put a bit under the piece and then tightened it down as tight as I could. Then I resealed the edges with more JB Weld. So we've just finished putting the JB Weld on, so it might look a little bit messy, but it's going to do the job. And this is going to set pretty much overnight. This should fix the problem. This could have stopped this car from being written off. All that was left now is to clean out the rusted out pipe from the rubber drain. I'm literally just crushing it. And it's all falling out, listen. One drain had all of that rust. I thought I was gonna have to dig it out. I just crushed it and it all come out like that. And as you can see, it's completely clear now. I won't bore you with the other side, it's the exact same thing, but if you can see, the car is right up against the wall, so it's gonna be really hard for me to film in there anyway. But I will tell you whether or not that side is actually rusted out and snapped, because if that was leaking too, yeah, that's really not great. I don't think it is though. I think it's hung on. It was still hanging on by a thread, but after a very quick tug, it immediately snapped. And after replacing that range rain, we went ahead and put some hose clamps on it just to make sure that they're never gonna come off again. And of course, then I had to test them. Driver's side first, you can see it draining there, and then perfect. Same thing with the passenger side, drained absolutely fine. Now that we've got the headlining back in, we've fixed the sound system, that is gonna be all for this episode. But if you're interested in following me rebuilding cars until I get a supercar and you wanna help, all you gotta do is like and subscribe, because any revenue that I make from YouTube counts towards this challenge. As soon as this car sells, I'll be telling you exactly what it costs, what I made from it, if anything. Thank you very much. Hopefully next time we can maybe start getting some of the interior back together. I'll see you then. Oh, my knees, both of them.